Good afternoon for 4 News Now. I'm Rob King. We're beginning today's kxly-plus daily rundown with a special guest. Tomorrow morning, Deis has a special report airing on the hidden dangers of lithium-ion batteries. So let's go ahead and bring Derek in. Derek, how are you?
I'm good, Rob. How are you, man?
Good, good. So why don't we just start with a little bit about what your special report's about?
Yeah, so lithium-ion batteries are quickly becoming a part of our everyday life, right? I mean, they're using things like laptops, cell phones, vape pens, e-scooters, e-bikes, electric cars, all these things. I have one actually here that I use for my electric lawnmower. That same battery can also be used in a trimmer that I use. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is when these things are either they be their quality erodes, right, and they become to a point where they can become very dangerous. Or sometimes people don't understand that they need to be like UL certified. If they're not made in the U.S., they could have some different standards in their manufacturing, and these things can become very dangerous. So we talked to Spokane Fire Chief Brian Schaefer about the dangers of them. And then he pointed out several examples of these fires. And we were able to talk to Greg Heister, who Spokane people know as a longtime Spokane area broadcaster who had one of these fires in his own house and says it could have killed, right? It didn't, thankfully, but it could have. And so this is just stuff that people need to be aware of if you have these lithium ion batteries in your home.
So why did you decide to do this? Why was this something that you felt was important to kind of bring to the forefront and explain to people?
I mean, really, it's just because fires are happening more and more, right? You've probably seen videos online. In fact, ABC News just aired a story, I believe it was early last week. An 8-year-old girl died in an apartment fire in New York because they had an e-scooter in their house that the lithium-ion battery exploded and she was not able to escape. There was a family in North Spokane just like 2 weeks ago where they had an e-skateboard in their house where the battery exploded, set fire to the house. Dad had to break out a window to save his little boy, his 10-year-old boy, to get him out of the house. So these things are happening more and more. And again, it's just to help people realize that you have to understand the dangers that come with having these batteries in your house.
And part of the issue is that these batteries are in tons of things, from
Yeah.
like toys that you're playing with to your cell phones. I know personally I had a cell phone that the battery started to go. I took it into like a Best Buy to see if they could fix it, and they were like, you have to take that out of here immediately. Like, you can't even bring that into the store. So
Wow.
there's a
Yeah.
real hazard to these.
And we'd asked Brian Schaefer, the Spokane fire chief, like, hey, would it be possible to set up a demonstration for us where we show an example of a fire and then show us how you guys fight it? And he said, Derek, seriously, we don't even do them anymore because they're so dangerous. So they did have video of previous times that they put these out that they were able to send to us, but they wouldn't do a live demonstration for us because they just said it's really dangerous. And so we don't even do them anymore. And even Schaefer said the day that we interviewed him, he said an accountant in the Spokane Fire Department was using her laptop in the office and it caught fire from
Oh
a
my gosh.
lithium ion battery. So thankfully, she's around a bunch of firefighters. They were like, yeah, unplug that sucker real quick. And then they were able to, get it out before it caused any harm. But again, we're just seeing more and more of these and people need to be aware.
And fighting the fire, like if it happens to you in your home, are you able to like throw water on it? It's an electronic. Like, what are you supposed to even do?
Right. If it's something small like a cell phone or a vape pen, then you might be able to put it out that way or with a fire extinguisher. Some of these larger ones, like even the size of this one that I have here, right? This for my lawnmower, the chances are that fire is going to be quickly shooting up. I had it described like a firecracker or a Roman candle to the point where like it can't be put out. So Greg Heister, who we talked to in this story, again, we mentioned he's a longtime local broadcaster. He owns his own production company. So he has camera batteries similar to the batteries that we use all the time in our station and that all TV news stations use.
I think
And
I
he
see
had,
one walking by right now through the
yeah,
window.
he had one charging on his kitchen counter. And he does admit, yeah, he left the charging on there for about 3 or 4 days because he was going out of town, and somebody who needed to use that camera battery needed to be able to come and get it already charged so that they could use it for a project they were working on. Well, that sucker caught fire in his kitchen, and his wife described it as, right, shooting up like a Roman candle.
Oh my
They were
gosh.
not able to put it out. She had to immediately call 911 to get fire to their place. And then he said it was a bank, just like we use in the station, where it's a charger that holds two batteries. So one of them is shooting up flames. As the firefighters come and get it, and they grab something to take it outside so they can try to put it out, the second one caught fire.
Oh my gosh.
And was going up. And so Greg had talked about in their house, this happened in June of last year. He said it was because it was in the kitchen, it was isolated to the kitchen, right? But if it had been in their garage in their old house, it was kind of under the house. And if it had been in his garage, it would have come up and caught fire into the main part of the house and probably taken down their entire house. So in some ways, he was lucky that it was in their kitchen because it stayed isolated there. But even though the fire stayed isolated, the smoke and soot that it brought in the house made the house unlivable. So they had to get rid of all their furniture. They had to get rid of things like bedding and clothes. And he said, even though it was in the kitchen, in the upstairs in their house, there was still so much smoke and soot. He's like, you wouldn't believe it. It was crazy. So that fire happened in June of last year. They're still not back in their house, and they're not sure they ever will be. That's how bad the damage was.
So you mentioned you talked with Spokane Fire Captain Brian Schaefer. What does he recommend? Should you not even have these in your house? I mean, they're in everyday items that we all use. So what are you supposed to do?
You said two things for sure is because, yeah, they are part of our everyday life. So we just have to get used to using them. So he said, number one thing is don't ever charge them unattended, right? So that was Greg's mistake, is leaving it charging in his kitchen for 3 or 4 days. Make sure you're home, right? So that if something happens, you can react quickly, call 911. If you're able to get it out of your home in a safe manner, then you can do so. And then number two is just to make sure you have all, your smoke alarm, your carbon monoxide alarm, all that kind of stuff. Make sure that's intact. And like what Greg said that struck me was that he said, I'll never charge them in my home again. In the future, it'll be like in a shed that has power to it, right? Or if you have maybe a detached garage, something, because again, bring him in his home, he now recognizes the dangers of doing that, and he could have killed someone in his family.
Yeah, now dealing with these long-term consequences is something that seemed, so minor at the time that he probably never thought about.
Yeah, no doubt. And then so I was not able to get other local people to come on camera with me, but I did speak to two other families. One of them had a fire from what's called a waydo. I don't know. It's almost like an electric surfboard, kind of like between a surfboard and kite surfing type of thing.
Okay.
So they had one of those charging in their garage. It caught fire, burned their whole house.
Ugh.
And another family had a battery for an RC car charging, right? And then I already mentioned that electronic skateboard. So it's just, we have all these electric products now that require these types of batteries, but bringing those batteries to charge in your home, if they become faulty, or if they're maybe just not good in the first place, it can be really dangerous. In fact, Greg said that he'd bought those batteries new, and he'd only been using them for about 2 months when they caught fire. So it just happened to be, it was from a reputable company. He didn't want to name them, but said it's a company he's trusted before. It just happened to be a poorly manufactured product, and it burned his house.
Ugh, what a nightmare. It's luck at a certain point.
True, yeah.
Well, Derek, was there anything in your special report that maybe you learned throughout this process, put in your reporting cap on, and something that wasn't able to make it into the final project that's going to air tomorrow?
I mentioned some of those other families that I talked to, but we're not able to get them on camera. And I think it's just, again, it's these stories of how quickly these things can go up and how quickly these fires can become so dangerous. And in fact, this is probably what I'm getting to here, is that Brian Schaefer talked about 99% of the time when they respond to a fire, they're going to respond in an aggressive manner, right? They're going to do everything they can. They're going to put their lives on the line if they have to put the fire out. Well, lithium-ion battery fires are not like normal fires. So he said they almost treat it like a hazardous materials fire,
Oh, wow.
where they have to be more defensive. And it's like a more proactive approach. In some cases, you're almost just letting it burn out because no matter what you do, you can have all the hoses on that you want. That sucker's probably still going up. And how many people have Teslas or other electric cars now,
Sure.
right? And they're these batteries, and we see fires with these types of things all the time. So it's stuff people need to be aware of.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like a very important project. I'm looking forward to seeing it tomorrow. Derek Deis' special report on the hidden dangers of lithium-ion batteries airing tomorrow morning on Good Morning Northwest. Derek, thanks for hopping on with me.
You bet, Rob. Thank you, man.
Yep, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
So like I said, Derek's special report is airing tomorrow morning on Good Morning Northwest. It'll be up on kxly.com following its airing, so you can watch it in full. Let's go ahead and move right along into the rest of the KXLY Plus Daily Rundown. If you came in the middle of that interview, the whole thing will also be up later on KXLY Plus. But let's start our rundown with a look outdoors. This is gonna be another hot one that we've been seeing the last couple of days. Sunshine is continuing. Fortunately, it looks like we might be past the worst of the thunderstorms. Some of the California precipitation that brought those thunderstorms in does seem to be giving us a break tonight and tomorrow night. So that's a good thing, unless you enjoyed the thunderstorms. I know a lot of dogs most likely didn't. Look at the 90 in Lewiston today. Yesterday, it was more of the northern parts of the states that were getting the heat, but now it looks like some of the southern areas. Look at Tri-Cities, 87. Above average. We actually broke a 100-year-old record yesterday for the hottest day of, May 2nd. So, it's very hot out there, and let's take a look at where we're going from there. It's after today and tomorrow, which are going to be pretty similar with the light winds. We're going to get a cooler, wetter weekend. Remember, Bloomsday is this weekend as well, so plan for that if you are going out there. Like I will be out there, feel free to say hi. And then Friday, Saturday, that's when the showers are going to be coming in, a little reprieve from the heat. Taking a look at what the 4 News Now team is working on today, Bronte Sorotsky, she has confirmed that the Cannon shelter for homeless residents has closed down. They stopped accepting new residents as part of a transition, believed to be transitioning to a facility for mentally fragile individuals, but now we know the shelter is confirmed closed and they've stopped accepting people. The problem is residents don't know where to go. There was supposed to be a transition process to the Trent shelter, but obviously that was not taking place in the smoothest of fashions. So now Bronte is speaking with the city about what went wrong, what's going on there, and where they go from here. And then also with trying to speak with local businesses about their feelings of this shelter closing down. Peter Choi, he is speaking with the Spokane Police Department about a program in the city. They give out these refugee language cards. So if SPD is interacting with someone who may not speak English, not just pulling them over for a speeding ticket, but maybe someone who was a victim of a crime or witnessed a crime and they don't speak English, SPD has been giving out thousands of these cards to help in order to create a bridge for that language barrier between law enforcement and refugees. So now the city actually wants to expand this program and now come out with these, instead of just refugee language cards, have these emergency language cards for anyone who may not speak English, to have this resource available in order to help law enforcement in their effort. So Peter is speaking with SPD about how this program works, and then he'll be speaking with the city about how they're looking to expand it. Natalie Grant, in theme with Derek Deis' special report and with the weather, she's looking at wildfire preparedness. She's going to be speaking with the Department of Natural Resources about what they're looking like, what the forecast is going to be for the wildfire season this year. In addition, despite having a very snowy winter, does those precipitation levels change what the wildfire season is going to look like. So she's going to try to talk to our own in-house meteorologist, Matt Gray, about what the forecast is looking like, and also how is DNR preparing for wildfire season in order to protect residents. Vanessa Perez, like I said, Bloomsday is this weekend, so she is looking at how the city prepares for the annual monstrous event here, where thousands of people, we're expecting over 30,000 people to be in downtown Spokane this weekend. Some of the things they have to do, set up and plan for cleanup, have security, parking meters in downtown, be aware of street parking not being allowed. Your car could be towed if you are parking in downtown. So Vanessa will have all the details on that looking ahead to Bloomsday. So that's all we got for the KXLY Plus Daily Rundown today. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Derek Deis, for hopping in real quick to talk about his upcoming special report. Again, that airs tomorrow on Good Morning Northwest. In addition, if you missed the interview, it will be up on our website, kxly.com, and be sure to download the KXLY Plus app on your connected TVs. That's Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. You can also watch these little streams that we do, and we're planning some streams for Bloomsday as well. You can watch these on the 4 News Now mobile app on your phone. So we'll have all those stories and more coming up tonight at 5, but for now, live in studio, I'm Rob King for KXLY+.